A school district of the future prepares lifelong learners to demonstrate mastery of 21st century competencies that will equip them for continuous success.
DeKalb County School District is a leader in K-12 and early childhood education and has developed a comprehensive master plan to ensure school improvements are made throughout the DCSD community.
Students can reach their fullest potential and excel when schools are well maintained and capital resources are up to date.
Whether it's state-of-the-art learning spaces, our 7 robotic programs, renovated and innovative schools, or technology devices for every child,
these resources and investments not only benefit the DCSD community, but also the taxpayers of DeKalb County.
A top priority for DCSD is supporting social and emotional skills of young learners and their families, and our Early Learning Center addresses the readiness gap.
Every 5 years, we assess DCSD schools and facilities, technology equipment, and examine construction to address overcrowding and to accommodate growth so that DCSD scholars can thrive. To achieve and excel, we provide technology at your fingertips with anytime, anywhere access, infrastructure enhancements, business system integration, and instructional tools to support top-of-the-line connectivity and cybersecurity, and a family impact hub that meets diverse families where they are.
So, how do we pay for these general improvements to impact student achievement and positively affect the DCSD community?
SPLOST is a 1-penny sales tax that allows school districts to fund their capital improvements. The voters of DeKalb County will be asked to extend the 1-penny sales tax for another 5 years. This education special purpose local option sales tax is critical to building our children's future and equipping our community for success.
It is now 6:07 and I'm calling our March 23rd, 2022 meeting to order. Well, we have a lot of visitors, so we're not going to allow our visitors to be introduced, but we want to thank all our visitors for visiting our committee meeting. Next on the agenda would be review and approval of the March 23rd, 2022 meeting agenda. The meeting agenda is in front of you. For our committee members, are there any additions or changes or deletions to the agenda? All right, so hearing none, can we by unanimous consent, if there are no objections, agree and approve the agenda as distributed? All right, thank you. So, Daniel, you unmuted yourself?
No, I was just going to say yes, Madam Chair, but I'm good. You can continue.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda would be review and approval of the meeting minutes from February 23rd, 2022 meeting. The meeting minutes were distributed to the committee members. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as distributed? All right, so hearing none, can we again by unanimous consent agree to the February 23rd, 2022 meeting minutes as distributed if there are no objections? All right, so hearing no objections, the meeting minutes are approved as distributed. The next on our agenda is discuss and follow up matters from the prior meeting. And the first thing is a report on the SPLOST items presented at the March 2022 Board of Education meeting.
All right, so there was one item that was approved at the March meeting. That was the approval to purchase furniture for the Green Forest Drive facility in an amount not to exceed $300,000. This was not a contract item. This was just approval to purchase using our state contracts and cooperative purchasing agreements, and then if we do DCSD bids as well. There were two other items that were that were presented that we have pushed until this coming April's board meeting regarding the SPLOST 5 project reorganization, and then also one for the Druid Hills project. And that was it. I can move right into item 5, Kathy, if you want me to.
Yep, that'll be fine.
Yeah, because as I was saying, that one item that was approved was not a contract, so we had no contracts that were approved as part of the March board meeting.
Okay. This may be a fast meeting then. Review of community feedback collected from the SPLOST committee email address. And the DeKalb County School System Communication has requested that if you are speaking, please turn your video on so that you can be seen, number one, and you can be heard a little bit better on the video. Okay, Daniel.
All right, excuse me. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. There are 3 items of note that we received in email. One was regarding portables. Let's see, I'll try to summarize, but let's see. Dear Ms. Blakely, during the meeting, you asked why Lakeside and Chamblee High School still have trailers / portables that forced construction of the new turf fields to be delayed. Let's see. In my opinion, these plans to expand 3 previously built expanded high schools and rebuild Cross Keys High School in Region 2 were terrible plans developed by DCSD operations under Mr. Josh Williams and Mr. Van Drake. Neither were feasible. Additionally, Druid Hills High School is a 100-year-old building, landlocked by valuable real estate around Emory University. If residents in that area ever saw an extension into the city of Atlanta and APS schools, DCSD will be in trouble. How would they serve the high schoolers in the cluster who had not been annexed into APS? Please keep asking the important questions of DCSD operations. Our children and our communities depend on you. Thank you, Angela Mackey. Okay. Second item was a question regarding the January 2022 MSR. Let's see. Original question, January 2022 MSR data for SPLOST 5 project 21635 shows inconsistent data. The February 2022 MSR published since I sent the original email shows that project 21635 is still misrepresented in the MSR. Gives some figures. Let's see. If current commitments are already $1 million over budget, then how can the estimate at completion be lower? Seems to me that this project clearly requires attention, yet it has no flag and blissfully shows a green CPR. Let's see, this project has not been discussed by the SPLOST Advisory Committee either. Let's see, to make things worse, on February 25th, 2022, operations published a new document with a totally new budget for this project. References an adjustments document and an item for project 21635. Let's see. No change in, from the current to new budget. Why don't the project budgets in these 2 SPLOST documents match? Why isn't a change in budget proposed to cover at least the current commitments stated in the February 2022 MSR? Let's see. As an aside, SPLOST 5 project 30335, a $4.5 million set aside track with turf installation is supposed to be zeroed out as part of SPLOST 5 adjustments. So if project 21635 truly needs almost $1 million to cover current commitments, where would those funds come from? I hope the committee can gain some clarification on this and share that clarification with those they represent. Richard or Mel, I don't know if you want to.
Okay, hold on 1 second, Daniel. In the future, if you would do me a favor and forward those to me so that I can look at them
Okay,
for the meeting. And then I'll determine, you know, whether we need to talk about it or it's something that, yes, we need to bring up in our meeting. So if you can forward those emails to me and then I'll look at them. And if need be, then I'll forward them to Richard.
okay, they've already been forwarded, but
Okay,
I will do so in the future.
okay.
Right. Third item, SPLOST project. Let's see, the $15 million,
Continue to talk.
the $15 million allocated in SPLOST 5 for capital improvements at 10 schools is not enough to address the immediate needs of these schools. The budget needs to be increased, and the official list of schools need to include HMES as addressed at this week's board meeting. Also, the recommendation to include a $6 million renovation / addition / refresh at DHHS and SPLOST 6 seems outrageously high given the facts from CMP documents. The replacement cost for DHHS is 61 million. DHHS is not currently overcrowded. There are other numbers that are included. Please ask DCSD operations for evidence that a $60 million renovation / addition / modernization at DHHS is the best use of our SPLOST tax dollars, even though 67 schools have lower FCA scores and the 11.3 acre campus is poorly suited to be a modern high school. Reducing the scope of the DHHS.
Yeah, you know what, Daniel, let me stop you before you, because I think if that's the one that I remember, it's a very lengthy email. And we're not going to discuss that. So it's been, I know it's been forwarded to the superintendent and it's been sent to, I'm sure, to Richard. Richard, can you confirm that you've received that email on Druid Hills High School?
Yes, I received a group of these emails this afternoon, and I believe some of these I'd received earlier. We'll get together. I'll get together with Mr. Williams and the SPLOST team, and we'll send out a response.
Okay, great.
All right.
Daniel, anything else?
Those are the correspondence of note from the email. That's it.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The MSR review, Mel?
Thank you, Kathy. I'm trying to share my screen, so I'll need you to release that. Thank you very much. In the interest of time, we'll forego the detailed review of the MSR and focus on our recap for February. We're always happy to report that our construction project budgets are in good standing, as shown on tables 8, 9, 10A through 10H. And we do understand the situation with the project 21635 that Daniel just asked about. We provided a response to that previously, so no problem there, not really. For procurement, only one project was advertised for AE services. That was 352 Tony Elementary School. That's a major building system replacement with an emphasis on plumbing and HVAC. In terms of status of our major construction projects, the Cedar Grove High School auditorium addition is 80% complete. The Druid Hills High School accessibility improvements is 95% complete. We're happy to report that the exterior canopy is complete and sod insulation and landscaping is ongoing. Ashford Park Elementary roof replacement was 20% complete at the end of February. The DeKalb Alternative East Campus was 75% complete at the end of February. The Oak Grove Elementary roof replacement was 20% complete, and the Winbrook Elementary roof replacement project was 95% complete at the end of the period. For our turf and track replacement for Group B, Ronald McNair High School track resurfacing is 20% complete. Spoiler alert, the turf is essentially complete, and as it says, we're awaiting suitable weather conditions to resume construction of the track. And the project team has advised that they believe March 29th, when the temperatures would be consistently above 50 degrees, is our target date to restart. For Towers High School, it's 15% complete. You may recall that the contractor encountered a large amount of rock in the field. We did get a proposal from the contractor, and we forwarded that through to the Chief Operating Officer, and I believe that's being queued up for the board meeting in April. At Chamblee High School, we reported previously that the contractor's laydown and construction equipment transport area was impacting or conflicting with student access to portables, but the project team worked closely with the school, with the athletic department to design a workaround, and they actually do plan to start March 14th at the end of February. They actually did start mobilizing, and that project is back in motion. There were no new delays reported in the period. The table 13 shows the few delays that we had reported previously. There were no claims by vendors against the district, and there were no change orders approved in the month of February. That means approved by the board and executed. In terms of our status, completed project count is up to 13. We've got 24 in design, 4 in builder procurements. That's 28 projects in the pipeline for construction, 16 in construction. So that's approximately 45 projects out of the 62 that are pretty much in the pipeline and geared up for a start this year. Of course, there's the SPLOST 5 adjustments that were mentioned earlier that will work into the program to support the current SPLOST schedule. We do have some photo highlights now that I think of it. Here is the new canopy, the covered walkway at Druid Hills High School. Roofing replacement progress at Brockett Elementary, Oak Grove Elementary, and DeKalb Alternative East Campus, and roof replacement at Ashford Park Elementary. That concludes my formal remarks. I'm happy to take questions.
Yes, if committee members have any questions for Mel, please unmute yourself and turn your cameras on and ask your questions. Okay, Mel.
Well,
Thank you so
very
much. Great report.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Richard, are you going to share your screen again with the agenda?
Yes. Let me do that real quick.
Okay, awesome.
And then I'll. Here, you see it now?
Yes.
All right.
So we are now at 8, facilities maintenance program.
All right. So what I'm going to report on are the work orders, like I did last month, giving both the new work orders since SSE left and what has been closed for the new and the original SSE. So since, and this is cumulative, so since SSE left, we have had 2,249 new work orders that were opened. Of those, and we also, when SSE left, we had 3,884 work orders that were open. Since the time that SSE left, we have closed 1,851 of the new work orders, leaving 398 new work orders that are remaining open. And since SSE has left, we have closed 3,867 work orders, leaving only 17 of the original SSC work orders open. And those 17 are some kitchen items that our facility staff is assisting with that to get those closed out as soon as possible. Total, that's since SSC's left, the facilities department has closed 5,718 work orders altogether. Any questions?
Yeah, you know what? I think I'd like to hear a breakdown of, open work orders, what types, and then what, same thing for the closed work orders for the month.
Okay. Just happen to have that right here. So as I said, of the existing work orders, that the existing SSC work orders that are still open, there are 17 of them that are related to kitchen equipment. And we, our facilities, is helping the kitchen mechanics to remedy those items. Let's see, the new ones that are open that are AV related, and these are the ones that are still open. Can everybody hear me okay? I just saw it had a sign come up that said my connection was unstable.
Yeah, you blanked out for a little bit, so we didn't, the AV orders, we didn't hear the number.
So there, and these are what make up the 398 that are remaining open. So there are 10 that are AV, 86 that are carpentry, 32 that are electrical, 2 that are elevator related, 10 that are fire alarm, 10 that are flooring, 6 that are glazing or glass windows, 33 that are grounds related, 59 that are HVAC related, 22 that are locksmith related. Of the new ones, there are 4 kitchen work orders, and as I said, there were 17 existing kitchen work orders. There are 2 masonry, 4 painting, 8 pest control.
Okay, slow down, Richard. Slow down.
Sorry.
Okay, so you said 2 masonry.
Right. 4 painting,
Mm-hmm.
8 pest control, 80 plumbing, and 30 roof. And just because I always like to double check what this was a spreadsheet that was given to me. I am going to double check that math. And that should total up. Hold on just a minute. Yes, that totals the 398 there at the end.
Okay, you said how many locksmith?
22.
Okay, any questions for Richard on the facilities maintenance program? Okay, hearing none, I have a couple.
Chair, go
Yeah.
ahead. I have,
Go ahead, Sabrina.
I'll go after you. It's fine.
No, go ahead. I can wait.
My question is whether or not priorities are placed on these, because some of them sound like they may be safety related or at least time sensitive. What is the priority that's placed on that breakdown?
So the priority in any of this would be life safety first. So anything that's a life safety issue, we would definitely, anything that is an issue with regards to the student comfort or even the ability of or for the staff or students to use a facility, something like that. And then also security. You know, if the doors, if a lock on an exterior door is broken, that's something that we would want to address. You know, with the locksmith, that could be anything from a broken lock to needing a key, anything like that. So, but yeah, we always put priority on anything that's life safety. Any other questions?
Yeah, Sabrina, did that answer your question?
It did.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the committee members? Okay, Richard, I had a couple.
Okay.
I'd like to know specifics on the HVAC, the electrical work orders, the plumbing work orders, and the roof work orders, because I really want to make sure that, you know, the monies that we're spending on these capital improvement projects, that, you know, there's not, you know, immediate issues after we put them in, and that previous SPLOST funds are being used wisely, or have been used wisely, and that the projects are, you know, it should be lasting a little bit longer than a couple of years.
Right. Right. All right. Well, I will. We'll dig into that and let you know.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, any other questions?
I'm sorry, I did have a follow-up.
Go
I
ahead.
did have a follow-up question. So for the life safety and the priorities that are placed on it, would we expect any of these work orders to carry through to next month? Even though a priority is placed, what is the subsequent time frame to actually complete them? If that makes sense.
Yeah,
You understand?
it does,
Okay.
and it would vary with what the item is. You know, obviously, if it's a lock or something like that, you know, that they could remedy that pretty quick. If it's a you know, assuming that parts don't need to be ordered. I was going to say, if it's something like an electronic lock, or even a HVAC unit, if parts needs to be ordered, then that can take a little bit longer. Hopefully that answered the question.
It does. Do we have like an SLA, service level agreements, in place by category? So those that place and this is totally just me inquiring, so that people know, or the schools that place the orders will know to expect a certain time period for these things to be fulfilled.
Not through a ordering process, but more so through just communication between the schools and the regional facilities managers. The regional facilities managers have a really good relationship with all their schools, with the principals and the custodians and others in the school. So there's a lot of communication that would go on. We do have a different level of service agreements with various suppliers, manufacturers, where we can get equipment fairly quickly as long as they have it in stock. But yeah, like, I mean, we have agreements with lighting companies, electrical companies, plumbing companies, door hardware companies. You know, if we needed a new door, we can just contact that company and have them deliver one. So we do have some of those various types of agreements in place.
Okay. I think that before complaints or even inquiries can happen, it's really important to manage the expectation. So
Right.
if there are certain categories that fall under the health, life, safety, and I apologize if I just butchered that
Oh, no, that's
category,
fine.
but that people know up front, if it is in this category, it is classified as this and may rank a priority of this, which, barring inventory is available, would take this many days to complete. You know, so that way you can also measure yourself to know whether you're truly meeting performance measures. So I was just curious, though. I was just curious, and that was more of an operational or logistical type question, and whether or not those expectations have been set and also communicated.
Yeah, they've definitely been set with our staff here. But as far as what you were saying, as far as communicating that and you know, giving them basically an estimate for when that service could be anticipated to be done, that's a good idea. Something that I can verify with our facilities managers and see how they're handling that at the school level.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, are there any other questions for Richard in regards to the facilities maintenance program? All right. Thank you, Sabrina. Those are some great questions.
Yeah,
as
they
well.
were.
And Richard, I'm assuming that we'll get a report on or get some more information on in our next meeting in April. 'Cause I'd like to hear what the SLAs are as well.
I can look at getting a list of those together. I know our procurement, I'm sure, has a list of all those.
All right. Awesome. Going to our next agenda item, new business. Notification of upcoming community meetings and other events.
All right, there are two that we included in the packet. The first is a redistricting meeting, or it might even be a couple of redistricting meetings, and I see Mr. Williams is on. Those are to be determined right now. Those are some things that we need to discuss with the Cary Reynolds community. Second, next Tuesday night, March 29th, and that's supposed to be 6 p.m. There's we'll host a community meeting to discuss the old Smoke Rise building, and just to receive community input on that facility. Hans, you don't have a date for the Cary Reynolds redistricting meetings yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
That is still being scheduled. It'll be the week after spring break.
Okay, in the Smoke Rise community meeting, that's virtual, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Was the link sent out to the committee?
I don't think it's been sent out yet at all. I'll
Yeah,
make sure it's
I
sent
got
out.
an email.
Okay, with the link?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to
I can
verify
check,
my
but I do believe so.
okay. I'll make sure.
All right, any questions on the community meetings? All righty, moving right along, the CMP plan and projects for SPLOST 6.
Sure, I'll go ahead and take that. So with the CMP plan, the focus of right now is on implementation of the construction-related CMP recommendations. The comprehensive master plan itself is complete. And so with the recommendations, there are several recommendations that, especially those that are non-construction related, things like the recommendations to explore K-8 models, some redistrictings, that sort of thing, that the district will be having further engagement on and exploring more next fall, further community engagement before the district really moves forward with any of those. However, with the construction recommendations, such as the projects for new schools and that sort of thing, that's what we're really focused on right now. So we've taken to the board already a few times a major program adjustment for SPLOST 5. We've put in front of the board a proposed SPLOST 6 project list that there'll be a committee of the whole at the April board meeting where both of those things will be discussed, and we'll be taking the major program adjustment to SPLOST 5 again. So the major program adjustment for SPLOST 5 is very similar from what I presented last month and what was presented to the board at the February 25th and March, I forget the date, but at the March board meetings. So I'm going to focus here today on the SPLOST 6 project list. So let's see, I'm going to see if I can share my screen, if that's okay. Here we go. So this is the preliminary project list. I do fully expect this to be discussed and possibly changed depending on the board's input on this. But this is just the preliminary proposed project list with the proposed budgets. This is actually, I took this from the presentation that was presented at the February 25th, or excuse me, that was put forward and is on Simbly. It's on the board website for the February 25th board meeting on the CMP. It wasn't presented at that time, but it is submitted to the board. They've seen it. And this is the same list that has been more or less the same list that was presented, I think, even at the January 10th update to the board on the CMP. So the primary focus is on new projects, new construction. So there's a new Sequoia Middle and High School. Hopefully everybody is aware at this point that the proposal for the CMP is to replace the current Sequoia Middle School with a new middle school and a new high school to become a new cluster. And then there would need to be a new middle school to serve Cross Keys High School. That's the next item on the list. There is also the recommendation to modernize and add on to the existing Cross Keys High School, but that'll be funded under the SPLOST 5 with that major program adjustment. So there'll be the result of this would be a Cross Keys cluster with a Cross Keys Middle and High, and a Sequoia cluster with a Middle and High, which would effectively take the number of clusters in Region 1 from 3 clusters to 4. And through that, there would be a redistricting once that new capacity comes online that would allow a relief of overcrowding of almost all the middle and high schools in Region 1. In addition, there's a new Idlewood Elementary, new Jolly Elementary, and a new Stoneview Elementary. These would be tear down rebuilds similar to what we did in SPLOST 4 and SPLOST 5. And all of these are the 900-seat elementary schools. We don't plan on having the exact same design. We wouldn't be using the same prototype, but it would be the same size. There's a recommendation for renovation and rebuild addition. This is essentially that modernization of Druid Hills High School. The language since February here, we've changed to the modernization, which is the intention. It's to take the Druid Hills High School facility and bring it up to as if new. Bus parking improvements and a new bus parking facility. So this would be both around the district, but also in we have areas where there's a great need for bus parking, improving lots, building a new lot, and then putting an actual facility in a few places where we don't have facilities for our bus drivers, especially if we're building a new lot. There is quite a bit of money. I actually haven't added this all up recently, but I'm moving on to IT. So before to IT, there's College and Career Tech Academy at McNair High School with renovation with a focus on roof. So this is $8 million is the proposed budget. It's a bit more than some of the other conversions. And the majority of that is because this is intended to not only help convert the school programmatically from a neighborhood high school to a college and career academy, but which has a bit more equipment and fixed assets than a lot of other schools, but also to put some work into the facility itself. So it has a bit higher of a budget. Below that is create the Cyber and Technology Academy at Towers High School. That's no construction, as you can see. for about $2 million. So that would just be to cover that conversion, whatever conversion costs, whatever new technology, that sort of thing. And then convert an existing school facility into a permanent location for Flex Academy. Flex Academy is the school that serves a lot of our online students, particularly middle and high school. Right now, there isn't a permanent location for those teachers to serve those students, but there is a need for a permanent location. And so we're planning ahead, especially with the other proposals from the CMP, which will be discussed, as I said, next fall. One of those is possible consolidations of schools. If that happens, and that may open up some currently existing neighborhood schools to become a college and career academy, but we don't know where that would be yet. So this is a set aside for that when it happens. And because that will likely, the physical needs of a Flex Academy, sorry if I say college and career, the physical needs of a Flex Academy, because the majority of the instruction will be online, will be a little bit different than a typical traditional school. The expectation is there will be students coming in and out of the facility, but it would not be the same as a traditional school where students go there to receive the instruction. They'd be going there for other services. So there is an expectation that the facility, there would be a little bit of work on the facility, maybe dividing classrooms or whatever the case is. So that budget is a bit higher. Next, we have our IT, and similar to past SPLOST programs, especially SPLOST 4 and SPLOST 5, we have money set aside for IT, particularly device refresh, and then an infrastructure refresh and support. This is to help keep up to date our infrastructure backbone and a lot of the physical infrastructure that makes up DeKalb's IT network and connectivity. On top of that, there's update disaster recovery systems for 1.25 million, update communication infrastructure. A lot of this is just the communications equipment that we're currently using, particularly at AIC, and then update security alert systems in schools for 5 million. I believe these numbers might have changed. I'd have to double check, but this will all be presented at the Committee of the Whole in April. And for the most part, this list has not changed. There may be one or two tweaks, but I'd have to double check those. The bus and vehicle purchase, again, as similar to last couple of SPLOSTs, we have set aside for purchasing of buses and vehicles. This is a little bit less, or a little bit, at least especially compared to the overall budget, a little bit less than what we've seen in the past. But there is this set aside for bus and vehicle purchase. And then DCSD staff, program manager, program contingency, and a revenue reserve. These are essentially SPLOST management. DCSD staff and program manager are for the actual managers of the program on DCSD side, and for bringing on a program manager similar to what AECOM is for SPLOST 5. And then program contingency, we've tried to, one of the lessons of the past that we've learned is particularly from SPLOST 5 is to make sure, especially at the beginning of the SPLOST program, to have a healthy contingency, and on top of that, to have that revenue reserve, so that as collections begin to come in, if it looks like that we're getting the revenue we expect, we can begin to put out that revenue reserve. However, if collections seem to be a little bit lower than expectations, we'll keep that, and that can be a buffer before we have to go back and do a major program adjustment similar to what we did in SPLOST 5. So all of that together, we're keeping the budget at a relatively conservative $700 million expected revenue into the program. Again, we went with a slightly more conservative estimate this time with $700 million, just in case, so that if similar to SPLOST 5, there's concerns about the rising construction costs, or if revenue does not come in as expected, that there's that buffer between what our expectations are, what's actually happening, that allows us to continue to move forward with the projects that we have currently planned before we have to have a major program adjustment. So that's the currently proposed SPLOST 6 project list. The plan right now is to formally present it. As I said, it's been presented and given to the board and put out publicly at both the January 10th update to the board. This is from the February 25th presentation to the board. We are hoping to have a robust conversation with the board, starting with that Committee of the Whole and over the next month, and then for the board to actually vote on the SPLOST 6 project list, hopefully in May. So I think that is everything. Are there any questions?
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. One question that I have, and it's related to the correspondence that we received. Is there a plan to address the concerns of parents and community of Druid Hills High School?
We have other projects that could.
Hands, I'm sorry. We're not going to address that because that's not for us to address. That's for DeKalb County School System to address. So that's not that's not our duties and not our responsibility. That's their responsibility. So we'll let them address that question.
I do think it's important to say we are prepared for that conversation, for that board to have that conversation.
Thank you.
Hey, this is more a question to Kathy, and maybe this is offline since I'm still learning. Do we get a chance to review this list and put in our recommendations and input before it goes to the board and vote, or is that something we do? Or
nope, we do not do that.
Okay.
The review is what we just was presented by Mr. Williams. There's no input. The only input that you would give would be your role as a taxpayer in DeKalb County, but not as a committee member.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, any other questions for Mr. Williams in regards to SPLOST 6? All right, thank you so much, Mr. Williams.
Thank you very much.
Richard.
All right, trying to get the bid. There we go. Trying to get the camera on. All right, CARES Fund program. So we are looking at doing a total of 28 projects as part of our CARES funding. We have divided those into schools that will be receiving HVAC improvements and upgrades, schools that will be receiving a roof replacement, and then a few schools that will be receiving both HVAC upgrades and a new roof. These projects are being, and I don't have the breakdown, but they're being divided between SPLOST 2 and SPLOST 3. I'm sorry, CARES 2 and CARES 3 funding that we've received. And we're currently getting proposals from 2 firms that we have under a contract to do that work. We have one firm that we're getting proposals for the roof replacement, and then another for the HVAC upgrades. And as soon as we get those in, we'll be carrying those contracts to the board for approval. And we're aiming for the May board to take those, and so we can get the projects up and running. The roofing projects and no, actually, I was about to say they were design build. We had talked about that at one point, but we're actually going with a design firm on both of these types of projects, the HVAC and the roof upgrades. Any questions?
No, one statement though. For the CARES Fund, we were supposed to do a presentation. It's been a couple of months. I think it was back this fall. That was the intent. That was my intent for the CARES Fund, was to do the presentation, because I thought it was a great presentation. So if we can we get that?
This is the one that Miss Harris did.
Melissa Harris did, yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes, I remember us talking about that earlier in the year, and I didn't put the two together on this time. Yes, I will get her. I'll get that lined up for next month.
That would be great, because I thought it was a good presentation. I'm sure it's changed now, but So I'll
Well-
make sure we'll put that back on the agenda.
Okay, just so you know, we are moving forward on our part of our CARES funding projects. But yes,
Okay, are
I've made a note on that as well.
Okay. Any questions for Richard in regards to the CARES Fund projects? Hey, Richard, can you share your screen back with the agenda?
Yes.
Make sure that we are on point. Awesome. No unfinished business. Collection of recommendations from meeting and follow-up matters for next meeting. I think the information for, well, one thing that I did want to make sure that we did discuss, Sabrina, did you review the information, the questions that you asked the auditor? And was that sufficient for you? Did that answer your question?
I did, Grace. Sorry. I did review the information. I did have one caveat in Mr. Foster's reply, but I want to make sure that I word my inquiry correctly.
Okay.
So I'll address it a little bit later, not at this meeting though.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. Trying to think, Richard, just a quick, I know it's not on the agenda, but the candidates that we interviewed last month,
Yes.
where are we on?
I sent, it was about 1 o'clock today. I sent you and Daniel an email with recommendations for the 3 positions. So
You said it was about 1 o'clock?
I think it was about 1. It was between 1 and 2. It was before I ate lunch. I do believe so. Somewhere in that time frame.
I received it at 3:14 this afternoon.
It was a little later. No wonder I was hungry.
No problem.
Okay, yep, got it.
Okay, and we can discuss that, my reasoning for the 3.
Okay, that sounds good. Moving right along to number 12, announcements. Any announcements from our committee members? Our next meeting is April 27th, 2022. Please make sure you have that on your calendar so that we can have a quorum at our next meeting. And Bobby, I sent you a direct message. Just want to make sure you did receive it. If you would please give me a call when you get an opportunity. And our March meeting is now adjourned at 7:01. Thank you everyone for joining, and we will see you next month.